Hi, my name is Stina Varsikko. I'm from Splay. I'm from the industry. I represent a YouTube network, actually the largest one in the Nordics, so probably something that Crystal has bumped into over her in the past years. I started in the industry about four years ago when I started working at Splay as a country manager here. Beautiful YouTube content, all this engagement, all these fans, no industry, nothing. My first meeting, my first day of work, I went to meet a customer and I said I was really, really nervous because I thought they knew a lot. And that was my first day of work and I didn't know anything about YouTube. I came from the IT business. I was working at Microsoft. So I was like, okay, this is going to be really embarrassing for me. I'm going to start talking about YouTube and you know, the customer's going to know so much more. And they sat there quiet and they were like, wow, this is so fascinating. I've never heard anything like this. This was my first day of work. And then I realized I have a lot of work to do. My title for today is something that I've noticed is really important to understand in the transition of the new media. It's an element of trust. We see that as being a big foundation of what influencers are about, what this whole industry is about, and what the economics around it are about. And then there's a reason why YouTubers are getting big, but brands are not really doing anything on YouTube at the moment. Splay is the biggest YouTube network in the Nordics. Some of the biggest talents I work with here in Finland. Most of them are local, so if you're not Finnish, you might not know them. If you're international, you might have heard of a channel called Hydraulic Press Channel. We've worked with him. We signed him on when he had 200,000 subscribers. Since then, he's grown quite a lot, become quite a sensation in North America. Also, a very interesting thing to research is why do people like to watch things being crushed on a hydraulic press? I don't know. I like it myself. My kids love it as well. Yeah. So let's start off, we've touched on these points a little bit earlier as well, with this kind of shift in media consumption. Why is this interesting now? There's a reason. There needs to be a little bit of time for things to develop. And traditional media has been really strong. And for influencers, social media influencers to come up and become more influential, there needs to be a shift in media consumption. Thank you. So this is something you've probably seen before. It varies a little bit depending on what country you're in. Splay is a Nordic player. So in Sweden, the drop is quite dramatic. In Finland, not so much. I don't know why traditional television is still quite strong here. But the fact is, all the statistics show that social media is really, really important. The time spent within social media is growing. Active users is growing, and at the same time, the consumption of traditional media is going down. So that is the statistics that we're looking at. And then the amount of time that's being spent, it's a lot. My kids get up in the morning, the first thing they start watching is videos. They go to the toilet, they watch videos. They eat breakfast, they watch videos. They walk to school, they watch videos. The only thing I can tell them is, please look ahead of you a little bit and stop watching so many videos. And for me, it's a little bit difficult to see my kids liking videos so much because I do work in the industry. So we're working a lot with finding the boundaries. But they would watch 24/7 videos. There's no point in time where they would not, they would sleep for a little while and then they would watch more videos. So we've set up rules when to watch videos. And the good thing for me is because I get paid to do this, I get to watch YouTube videos when I work every day. So I do spend a lot of time on social media. I'm not a content creator. I work with content creators. I think it's really important to understand what's insightful, what's so interesting about the content that they do create. We work on all the social media platforms. Just to emphasize, our main platforms are YouTube and Instagram at the moment. Snapchat, sorry Snapchat, you didn't make it really, not very well. Instagram is doing a great job at the moment. Facebook, challenging. We work with millennials and the millennial target audience. I don't get what Facebook is trying to do, so maybe they'll pick up at one point. They're buying a lot of rights to a lot of entertainment, so maybe they're going to come up with something like YouTube in the near future. We'll see. So yeah, So the question about trust, what the hell does trust have to do with anything? It's really, really important in the day and age of social media, where most of the content that people consume over the day come through social media platforms. And you don't really know where they originate from. So that's why trust is very, very important. Yeah, so I kind of summed it up. We are living in this kind of a post-truth era where facts, it's not quite as important anymore. It's more important, where does it come from? Who tells the story? Is it credible? Does it appeal to me? Does it, you know, is there an emotion? Does it support my beliefs? Then people will believe it, even though it's completely false. But it doesn't matter anymore. And this is what social media has kind of generated, because it's possible to do. I'm sure people have heard about fake news. It's been on the topic. There's a president who tweets about it a lot. I'm not going to name any names, but so one of the reasons why this is really, really a big question at the moment is because people need to question every day what they see. Is it a fact? Is it an opinion? Is it false news? Is it propaganda? What is it? Will people understand the difference between it? And now we're seeing within the millennial scene different types of shifts. First of all, they're starting to pay for news because they're thinking that, well, if it's for free, it might not be true. So they're trying to, now they're subscribing to news more and more because they're like, well, if I have to pay for it, somebody has to do the background check, and that's probably, I trust that news agency a little bit more than just going on Google and trying to find out what it is about. And then another shift which affects us in the industry is the millennials don't really trust brands anymore. They don't relate to it. I mean, most of the stuff that they push out in their advertising is irrelevant. Is it true? Maybe, maybe not. They don't really care. So direct brand advertising is really taking a big blow. And some of the biggest, more traditional brand advertisers are really feeling it. The old traditional way of reaching the consumer and try to promote your product, it's not working anymore. Not with the millennials anyways. You need to be a little bit smarter in what you do. And this is the kind of core of why Splay is here, why we work with influencers, and how we try to kind of monetize their content, because it has a lot of value and they should get paid for it. You have to remember, we talk a lot about influencers creating a lot of content. They don't get anything for it. They don't have a marketing budget. They have nothing but passion and a camera, and they need to get hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers. It's a crazy job to do. Yeah, so then we started getting into the kind of idea of how does this industry work? How does it monetize itself? Who pays for it? I think this is, people have always trusted other people. Word of mouth has always been really strong. If you're going to buy something, ask somebody who's a sporting expert or a camera expert or a gardening expert. And whatever they recommend, you're like, okay, I'll go pick it up from the supermarket. But with the age of social influencers, it's a little different. They don't need to go around asking anybody anymore. They can go online on YouTube, watch some videos, see whether or not it's been organically popular, because that's when we go into crowdsourcing. If enough people like a video and comment on it, then it's viable, it's trustworthy. Then if the recommendations on the video seem plausible, you'll probably go out and buy it. So if you don't know the influencer, that's probably the kind of logic behind it. If you do know the influencers, you have a really tight bond with the influencer. So no matter what their recommendation is, you're probably going to be like, I like it. I think, you feel like they're your friend. So if they recommend something, you might as well try and go buy it at one point. So then we've been talking about influencers, and I always like to try to define what it is. I've been working with them for 4 years, and I think it's the greatest job in the world. I get to watch YouTube videos and hang around with really cool people. Here's some Finnish influencers. Maybe you recognize them, maybe not. When you go on YouTube, there's 400 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every minute. And this is just YouTube. On top of that, I mean, the amount of content out there is just enormous. You will never be able to watch all the video content out there. So what happens to millennials who are like, well, what should I watch today? And I was like, well, I'll go check out what Misa's doing. You know, she has a huge YouTube channel, a huge following in Finland. Her Instagram has 450,000 followers. Her YouTube channel is almost the same size. So what they do is they create most of the video content that millennials kind of trust. They're kind of like, I don't know, in the olden days, you pick up a magazine and you know what type of articles are going to be in that magazine because you trust it and you've subscribed to it, you've paid for it. The thing about YouTube is, well, it's for free, so you don't have to pay anyone. Just go on, you know, download the app or just go, you know, and go on YouTube. But what the difference is, you know that this is a sign of quality. When you watch her videos, you will be entertained. You will really like the content that she's created. So there's a really, really strong trust bond between what she has to say, the way she makes her videos, what type of information they share, or what type of entertainment they create. So it could be different types of genres. It could be gaming. It could be lifestyle. It could be informative. It could be mukbang, whatever. I mean, it's your choice. As a viewer, you choose what you want to watch. But what happens is in general, they do polarize around certain channels. And one of my job is try to understand, why do they become big? Why do people subscribe to Misa? Why do they subscribe to Hydraulic Press channel? And what is that kind of special bond? And my team I have a team of 4 talent managers, help these guys make it even better, to make that relationship between them and the viewers even tighter. We're talking about communities, engagement, dialogue between the two, so that, because this is the reward of the work and the creativity that they do every day. Yeah. So why do brands want to work with influencers? Why do not brands, like, they have lots of money. You should think that this is easy. If you have a lot of money, then, you know, can I just buy it? Well, you can buy views, you can buy likes, you can buy anything. It's not a problem. It's not authentic. So if you've watched a lot of YouTube videos, you know whose views have been bought, whose liked have been bought. I review a lot of Instagrammers who come to me and say, I have a really big Instagram account. I want to work with brands, you know, sign me up. And I said, I look at their feed, I'm like, well, you have a couple of problems here. First of all, you're Finnish. Your posts are in Finnish. Your comments are in Russian. Your engagement rate is super low compared to how many subscribers you have, and it's not making any sense. And they're like, no, it's I just, you know, and then you're like, it doesn't make sense. Please come back to me when it makes sense. If you're Finnish, your comments should be in Finnish. You should have hearts. You should have this, and you should have that on your feed. You don't have it. There's something wrong. I'm not going to sign you up. I'm sorry. Try somebody else. So our job, what we promise the brands when they work with us, is that we will do the kind of safety checks for them. Double check that these people are real. We don't see everything, of course, but we do try to make sure that the people that we sign up, the influencers that we do sign up, they are engaging, they are authentic, and they are thought leaders, and they really stand behind the values and what they say on their videos. Because then after that, we start working with the influencers first and foremost on, how do you want to approach the brands? What type of brands do you want to work with? What type of compensation are we looking at? Because if you really get this, then this has a lot of value. And this is, when you're a brand, this is really difficult. This is really, really, really difficult. First of all, because brands are not people. You can't create a trust if you don't have a great smile or you know, a funny laugh. Then some more statistics if somebody's interested. Why we mentioned blogs earlier. Yes, influencers, bloggers have been influencers for a long time. What is the difference? The volume is different. The weight of influencers is higher. So when you watch video, it's much more impactful than if you read a text or if you see an image. So moving image is very, very impactful. That is why YouTubers are so big. And then this is kind of like a chart on when you compare where influencers are strong, what social media platforms influencers are strong at, what like traditional celebrities are strong at, and then where brands are strong. So the good thing for brands is they're doing pretty well on Facebook-owned platforms, but Facebook-owned platforms work on a pay-to-play basis. So if you want visibility for your post, you give Facebook a little bit of money, and they will push your post in front of the audience, and it seems like it's really engaging. The problem is it's not 100% authentic. The reason why influencer engagement is authentic is because they don't pay. They don't need to promote their post. They put it out, and they expect organic reach and views. And they're much more authentic, the figures behind these. What can I say? And they're really high on almost all the social media platforms. For brands, it's, these are the two. And there's a big difference, especially on YouTube. They're not really rocking it. Yeah. Oh, I have to check. I have the study on my computer, so if you want, I can show it to you later on. I forgot to put the source here, but I can add it on it later. But there's a longer study where about 1,000 millennials were interviewed on the kind of what impacts them, what do they spend time on, what are their intent to purchase is. So it was an interesting study. It's I don't know how scientific it is, but it had a nice it was interviewing 1,000, so it should be viable enough. That's why I took it up here. But I have to remember, I'm not a researcher, so my background is a little different. Oh, this was in general. So this was like I think it was a North American study that they did. It would be nice to show more statistics. So the question was this study only in Finland? Actually, no. This is from North America. So when you're looking at influencer marketing in general, Finland is doing a great job, but there's not much research on the Finnish market. The problem is also because we're such a small market area, it's very difficult to get the data. So it's kind of so that it's viable. So this is from the same study. So this kind of like matches different types of medias with different types of content creators, and that gives you kind of like where you should be putting effort into. So if you're like a brand and you're thinking, if you're like a marketing manager and thinking, okay, we should do some content on social media and try to engage with our audience, where should I put it? So when I look at this, I was like, okay, well, there's a reason why brands are really good at Facebook. It seems to be working for them. And there's a reason why brands are really scared of going on YouTube, because it's just not really working for them. And this is a big difference. This is why we work with the brands, because we try to bridge this gap a little bit. And from my perspective, this should be on the topic of a lot of marketing directors' tables. There's their content marketing strategy. Why are they so bad at it sometimes? They're really good at it when you can pay for it, and that is traditional TV. I mean, traditional advertising. You interrupt, and then you will show your ad, and then you will let people go on with what they're doing. What we do with influencers, we combine it with the entertaining content that they're getting, and they like it. They know they know a certain content is sponsored. We're very, very exact on showing that we're doing commercial content. So we have, collaboration. We're how should I say this in English? We have the paid promotion signs, and everything is out there, but it doesn't affect our views. And it doesn't affect our views because the target audience, they don't care. They kind of like it. They like the ideas. They like the way the influencers are working with the brands and bringing out new features and how they're working with them. So it does work. I think I'm kind of over time, so just let me know if I need to stop. Yeah, so actually this is my last slide anyways. So I summed it up a little bit. It's like, why aren't brands really getting it on YouTube? Why is moving image and trying to engage with the audience really difficult for them? I would require a little bit more time to kind of open up how the traditional advertising works. But first of all, it is a question of interrupting. You're reading something interesting, boom, suddenly you have an ad in front of your face. You're watching a video, somebody's gonna say, okay, now it's time for an ad. It's the same thing on TV and everything. But when you come into content, you can't really do that. You can't just interrupt somebody. You have to give them something for their time. So really, brands really need to stop interrupting and thinking that advertising is how well I can interrupt the person. It needs to be something you have to generate a little bit more value add than that. And you have to start listening to what the audience is saying. This is what the influencers do every day. They comment every day on their video, on their Instagram post. They're reading the feedback they're getting from their audience, saying, okay, you should do this. I really like your hair. You should try that. And this is how they kind of go about developing their own content. And yeah, I think engagement is super, super important nowadays. If you're a brand, it might be difficult to create a community, but you might be, find the right type of paths to generate engagement. There are things, your audience or your potential customers do like about you. There's a reason why they buy your products. So find out why that is and how they engage with it, and share their stories, whether it's an Instagrammer or a YouTuber or whatever. It's just finding the right type of influencers to work with. So just to sum it up, it's the brands don't quite have that trust yet, because first of all, it's much more difficult as a brand to build it, but because they're playing the game a little bit differently. YouTubers are getting it. They understand. They get. So we get in Finland, we have 62 million views a month for our network, and we have about 50 YouTube channels. So they're really getting it. And why they're getting it is because they're listening. They're creating content people want to watch. So the industry around is actually just created around an individual's passion to create and entertain, and to create content and entertain. I think that was, yeah. Oh, I'll skip this one. Yeah. Okay. I think my time is up.